All right, so with JP Dokkan entering its 7-year anniversary here in a few weeks, I figured now would be a better time than ever to look at a potential EZA that we'd be seeing in this celebration, as the theme is likely going to be fusions. So we're looking at the 3-year anniversary Dual Dokkan Fest LRs right here. 2 units that have aged very well, but they are definitely in line for an EZA as they are coming up on 4 years old. And last year in the 6-year anniversary, they dropped the bomb on us, giving us a summonable LR EZA. So I feel that the bomb that they're going to try this year is a summonable Dokkan Fest LR EZA. So let's hop over to the wiki, break them down real quick, and then speculate on what the EZAs could look like and how I personally build them myself. Okay, so I don't want to spend too much time breaking down these units as there's not like too much to talk about. They're 4 years old, so you can see that they have very like bare bones kind of passive stuff right here, right? Like their passive skill is simple, their super attack effects are simple, their leader skills are still very good. Like you see these guys on the friends list all the time, especially over on the JP side. Like I'm in the high ranking of like things. My account's level like 700, so I have friend supporters that are like 700s, 800s, 900s, and you're still seeing these guys being used all the time. So definitely not a problem to find them on the friends list. So their leader skills are probably like the least of my concerns in terms of an EZA. I think there could be improvements, but we'll get to that when we start going into it. So the glaring thing when I look at both of these units right away, like when I pull it up here, you can see, right, that they, the first thing that comes to mind, at least for me, like I don't know how, like when you're watching this, you feel the same thing. You look at these super attack effects and the passives at the same time, there's no defensive bonus aside from the start of turn ones, right? Like, so they get 150 at the start of turn. I'm kind of trying to do them at the same time, right? They both get attack and defense 150 at the start of turn, and then the key +3 with the rainbow orbs. So there's not much going on, right? So it's nice that the ultra super attacks are the 18 key for both of them. Actually, no, it does not. So this one lowers attack and defense, while Vegito gives allies attacking by 30% for 1 turn. So Vegito is definitely, I feel like just objectively speaking, Vegito is probably better just with his counters, and like if you get those crit counters, they're gonna do a lot of damage. But not really the point here. The problem to me that I see just with both of them, no defensive raising on super attacks, none additional into passive, like nothing put like in there in that vicinity, right? There's nothing here, no boosting of defense. So that's issue number 1. I think if that's one thing they do with the EZA, these guys, like the beauty of them, they don't have to do much at all to make them super efficient, super good, like top tier LRs, right? Like we need more EZA LR EZAs that look like Broly looked back, early in 2021, right? Like I feel like with the LR EZAs, they've kind of held back a little bit. So I hope with these guys being like an anniversary celebration EZA that they go all in and make them as good as they can make them. So I've kind of briefly talked about what I think of the units and how like the stats, like this is where the LRs not getting stats on the EZA is beautiful, because like look at the HP on this guy. Like he's already got 24,000, 18,000 attack and nearly 16k defense. And then you saw on my account that he had 25k because I have equips on them. So you see here he's got 21,000 attack or HP, 20,000 attack, and 14.4k defense. So these guys are just solid all around, but they just need that additional like buff on defense just to get better, like just to be like that top tier, S tier option. I don't think the EZA could make them like a Z tier option, but it also it comes down to the player, right? Like how you feel about it. So that's enough breaking them down. Let's go ahead and talk about how I would do the EZA. So for both of the EZAs, the first thing I would do is look at the leader skills, and I don't think I would want to go like, they don't need to touch this top part, the Patara and the fusion. I feel like that's fine. If you wanted to go 170 across the board just to buff it, that'd be cool, but I don't think it's necessary. And I would like them to do for their typing, you're gonna hear a lot of clicking because I'm going back and forth, but for their typing, I'd like to see it go up to 120 to make them, very viable options as battlefield leaders. Like you already can do that, but putting them at 120 puts them up with the 120% EZAs, gives you another option in case you're missing. Like in my case, in my account, I'm missing STR Janemba. So, having something like that, another 120% lead from a summonable LR would be nice. Leader skill, like I said, not too much to touch there. Just make them 120% type leads. I think you can keep the category things the same. For the super attack, I would like them to raise attack and defense on both of them, because I can't stand when they make these LRs and you want them to prioritize getting their 12 key over the 18 key, because having that extra option, that's the whole fun of the LR, right? Like being able to go into that extra key zone, and then when you have to go out of your way to avoid getting the 18 key just for the sake of raising defense or getting a stun, I always hate when they do that. So both of these, I think, so for the base form units before they fuse, I kind of want them to, like, they already basically are the same thing, but I'm going to keep it the same, right? So for both of them, 120% leads, raise attack and defense on both super attacks, so you can keep the Mega Colossal and Colossal. I think that's fine as it is. You don't need to change that. And then for the passive skill, what I think they should do, you make it attack and defense, you can keep it 120 or make it 130. And then in addition to the key +2 with rainbow orbs, I think it should be attack and defense plus 5% or 10% per rainbow orb obtained. So that way we can have that potential slot 1 defensive bonus where we're looking at 200k plus defense in slot 1. So in Super Battle Road, they can take a little bit better with normals. They can take super just a little bit better. Any extra buff, right? Like if you take the EZA like that I'm putting out in front of you, these guys in slot 2 are basically going to be invincible, but I think that's what we want, right? Slot 1, it's super tough, right? Like you want to add, especially like in stuff like ESBR, you need to have damage reduction, super high defense, guard. It's tough. I don't think you can do all that here. I think what I'm putting out here at least is, you put them in slot 2, or you can get away with them in slot 1 with the right amount of orbs, and all of a sudden they just look super good. We're talking 250k, 300 something thousand defense with the right amount of orbs, and they just look really good. They'll be really good on offense, really good on defense. So like I said, they're gonna look basically the same thing, but the color and the fusion they turn into is different, right? That's basically all it is, because that's how they built these units. They're the same thing, but one is Gogeta, one is Vegito. So now that I've kind of talked about it, the Potara fusion and the fusion dance, the condition, I don't think they're going to change that. It sucks. Like, this one's one of the toughest ones, right? Turn 6, don't see that very often. And with a lot of the teams that these guys are on, it is hard to get under 50% HP. So, like, you could fuse into STR Vegito before you get to this and get your health back. You might fuse into Tech Gogeta and get your health back before this. So, it's tough. But I think it's going to stay the same. That's the one thing that sucks. So before we switch over, just like kind of just a recap, right? Leader skill stays the same, except for the typing goes up to 120%. The super attack and the ultra super attack, they raise attack and defense, and the damage stays the same. So 18 key Mega Colossal, 12 key Colossal. The passive skill, everything, I'd make the attack and defense 130, and then we would do key plus 5% or 10% per rainbow key sphere obtained, and that's it. So now that we move on to Super Vegito, and we'll go ahead and put Gogeta up. What I would do here is the same thing. We still are just going with the raise attack and defense. We're just adding that in there, so that way we can, we get the first super. Might prioritize getting additionals for the defensive raises. With the fully recovering HP, obviously that's going to stay. Countering the super attack. I think what I'd want to do here with this guy is maybe rather than getting attack and defense per orb, it would be crit chance. So that way we can go ahead and get, like, if we up the crit chance plus with the critical equips, it's like we're almost guaranteed to get a critical with the counter. So, like, you can really maximize your damage here. I think that was maybe how I'd do it. Like, maybe, I don't know, 7% chance to crit per rainbow key sphere obtained. So if you get like 7, we're looking at basically a 50% chance to crit, plus whatever you may have with skill orbs and hidden potential systems. So we're looking at a much, much higher chance. You can just output more damage that way. I think that's how I'd do it. So this guy is basically the same thing, but rather than gaining attack and defense with rainbow key spheres, I would do a crit chance just to kind of maximize and benefit on the counters the most, because there's not too many counter units in the game, and when you can take this one, that's how you get him closer to looking like STR Vegito with the counters, right? with his attack, with the attack buff that you may get at the start of turn. So they're already getting 150 at the start of turn. Let's just go crazy, right? Let's just make it 180 at the start of turn, right? And then we'll get 7% percent chance to crit with Rainbow Key Sphere obtained. That's how I would do Vegito. And then with Gogeta, let's go ahead and take a look. Lowering attack and defense. I would put lowering attack and defense on both of the super attacks, so that way we can kind of counter the Vegito getting the crit chance per orb. With this guy just being super effective against all types, it's a little bit tricky. So I think it would be the same thing here. We just give him an extra chance to crit. So I think, yeah, I would just do the same thing. So 7% chance to crit with the Key Sphere obtained. So I think the maximum amount of Key Spheres you can obtain for Rainbow is 6 or 7. So in a good situation, like I said, you're getting that 50% chance to crit plus whatever you have in the, I know it's 49, but I'm just rounding up. You're getting the plus whatever you have in the hidden potential system and equipments and all that, or skill orbs. You have just a lot of damage here, right? So raising attack and defense on both the super attacks and lowering attack and defense on both of the super attacks, as well as crit chance per or 180 at the start of turn. Did I say I think I said 170 or 180. And then the 7% crit chance per Rainbow Key Sphere obtained. Now, I know that these guys are very overpowered in the sense that I am putting them down here, but I think that's what you kind of got to do, right? Like, we're talking about 2 premier units, right? Dokkan Fest LRs only get to summon for them 2 to 3 times a year. A lot of players have these guys rainbowed. I think it would be, if these guys were as good as I made them sound, or like, you know, at the bare minimum, I guess, like even if they were half as good as this, I think it's a good consolation prize if you don't pull either of the new units or either of the new fusions that would be coming on the hypothetical banners in a couple weeks. So this type of EZA, I think, would be something very good for the game. Would be very exciting. A lot of players would have 2 S to Z tier options with units like that, especially like considering this is like I said, this is also an EZA. Like everybody, if you've been playing this game for a while, you have these guys, right? Like they're on all of the big banners. Like in terms of like Dokkan Fest LR banners, these guys are always there. So like I know like free to play players that have the TUR, this guy with a couple dupes in him. So that's how I would do the EZA for both of these guys. So quickly, just to kind of go over it, raise attack and defense on both super attacks for all 4 of the potential characters here. I want crit chance for Rainbow Key Spheres on the fusions. I want attack and defense per Rainbow Key Spheres on the Goku and Vegeta part of it. And then the leader skills going up to 120 for the typing. And potentially 170 across the board for the category, making them the best fusion and Potara leaders available. Yeah, am I missing anything? I don't think so. Yeah, so I think one thing I would kind of want to revise is the 12 key would not lower attack and defense. It would only be the 18 key for this Gogeta. I think that would just be a little bit more balanced. I don't think we need to go that crazy. Like lowering attack and defense with both, I think would be a little too broken. So yeah, we'll go ahead with that. And crit chance with the Rainbow Key Spheres for the fusions. And that's basically everything that I would do. That's how I would want to build these units. So let's go ahead, hop over into an event real quick, and just kind of take a look and see how they would look in theory in a given situation when, how, like, you know, we're just kind of estimating what they would be doing with support, without support real quick in an event, and, you know, giving us, what's the word, like a ballpark view of how they would do. Okay, so I figured this would be a nice opportunity to show when this unit, like, in a bad situation that isn't built for him. Like, we're on the last resort team. We're linked up with STR Gogeta. We have a support with Topo around, and no ability to get rainbow orbs or to get the a super attack without, like, if I want him in slot 1. So let's go ahead and throw him in slot 2, and we can see he's got 173k defense. So you got to think about that, right? Like, what we'll do real quick. Oh, I just clicked. Let's go ahead and grab this. And that did not get me the rainbow orb I needed. All right, this is a good opportunity to show anyway. So 173 is going to be how we're going to look at it flat. And so just say in theory, right, we got 1 rainbow orb. We're going to get 5% of that. So we're looking at what? So 10%, 17,000. We'd be at like 185k, right, or like 181k, roughly 182. And then if we just raised, we get that 30% off of that. So 182, and then we get a third of that. Trying to do math quickly here. So we'd be looking at like 230k defense after super attack if we just got one. So yeah, so 230k defense after super, that's not bad. And that's that's just saying if we got one rainbow orb, right? So we're not going to see here much on this turn. Let's just kind of let this one play out really quickly. And then we'll, like I said, we'll come back when I get them linked up together and in just a overall better situation for them, as this one is just kind of a dry run, right? Like I'm still getting it set up, right? So I'll be right back. All right, so 2 turns later, we have them linked up. Again, just not the best rotation here. Not the best rotation, but just not the best orbs, just for how it kind of played out. But here you can see with no support, still very respectable numbers for 4-year-old units. Like we're looking at 150k defense and 133k defense, right? So in the case of Vegito, we're going to be getting 1 rainbow orb. So we'd be getting, we'd be roughly at about 154k defense-ish in theory after we do that, right? And then right here, we can go ahead and get another 1 rainbow orb here. So we'd be looking at about 140k defense after grabbing that rainbow orb, and then with the super raising and stuff like that, for both these guys, we'd be looking at about a 50k, or about an increase of about 50,000 for Vegito, and an increase of about 35,000 for Gogeta. So we'd be looking at roughly 200k defense after super for Vegito, and roughly 170k for Gogeta. In this given situation, this is with no support, no rainbow orbs. Maybe we'd have to go 10% per rainbow orb if we really wanted these guys to look super well, like efficient in here. But this is kind of a good litmus test to see how, just to see how they would do in the situation that I have, right? So this would be a good chance to see the damage numbers. So, with the super attack buff right there, we're easily 4 to 5 million. Especially like we're raising attack and stuff like that on both super attack effects. Like we're looking well over 5 million right there with 200k defense. And then it's the same thing right here. We're going to be over 3 million there with a defensive raise. I mean, that's really good still. So I'm trying to set this up so we can go ahead and get to a turn with the fusions in real quick, and then we can wrap this up. Like this isn't supposed to be a showcase. This is just kind of guesstimating how the units would look in a hypothetical situation with the EZA, right? So right here, I can kind of show you what I'm trying to do while I'm here, right? I'm basically just trying to take damage. So let's go ahead and throw Topo in slot 1 and let Turles get lit up, and then hopefully that'll get us under 50% HP, and we can go ahead and fuse, and we can get up 1 out of here. So I'll be right back. Okay, so the fusion came at a bit of an inopportune time. As you can see, we're only going to be able to, we're not even going to be able to see the attack stat. But honestly, that doesn't even really matter. That's not what we're here for. So I said that they'd be getting 70% defense at the start of turn, so they would be getting an additional 40% to whatever that has. It's tough to do all the mental math to make the numbers look right, but we can, the defensive stats are going to be closer to 200k than they are to 150. Vegito happens to be dead in the middle, but Gogeta is a little bit on the lower side. But you can see here, we're going to get 2 rainbow orbs for Vegito, so this would give him a 14% additional chance to crit if they were if they EZA'd the way I would want them to be done. And the same thing cannot be said about Gogeta. He would not have any additional chance to crit with the rainbow orb situation that we have here. But they would both raise attack and defense on their super attacks, so Vegito would be, he'd really be getting closer to 300, 400k by the time he's done with that additional chance to crit. And Gogeta would be in a similar boat where he'd be closer to 300k while remaining to be super effective against all types and having the crit chance with the orbs as well as raising attack and defense on the supers. So they're still doing a whole lot, but I do believe that this counter should finish Goku off. Yeah, so I want to get a turn in with the attack stats for both real quick, so I'm going to stop real quick, come right back on the next turn, and then we'll let that attack play out, and that's all I'm going to have for you today. Okay, so this will be a good chance for us to get a rainbow orb in for both of the units here. So Gogeta right here is going to be getting a 14% chance to crit plus whatever bonuses we'd be getting from like the start of turn bonus and the defensive raising and all that. It's just too much math to get an exact number in my head, like especially when the fusions come in and stuff like that, and I start accounting for like crit chance and all that fun stuff, but all good, right? So like I said, we're going to be closer to 200k defense for both of these guys, and they get raises on Super. Rainbow, then he's getting 7% chance to crit with his counters, so he's going to be better right there. And I think that the way that I have that set up, it's like they'll be damn good, right? Because that's going to be closer to like a 5 million attack stat. That's super effective against all types. Like that's Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta, but even better. And like that has a chance to crit, you know what I mean? And that raises attack and defense. Yeah, these guys would be pretty busted. Yeah. So, yeah, I'd say I feel like that's doing them justice. Like, if they were to do that exact EZA, like that I had them planned out, I do think if they really wanted to go crazy, they could make them better percentage-wise with like buffs and all that. But, you know, I think just from doing the mental guessing and just like estimating how they would look in my head, I'm very impressed with how they would look, right, going forward. I think that's, like I said a minute ago, justice for a Dokkan Fest LR EZA. Goku and Frieza and UI Goku, they kind of changed the game with EZAs and brought in, they opened the floodgates where it's like any unit could get an EZA if it pertained to a celebration. All bets are off unless a unit came out like a week ago, or like, you know, I feel like the limit's like 2 years or a year. Like anything's up for EZAs at this point, considering they're doing Dokkan Awakenings into instant EZAs now, like with all these fusion units and all that stuff that just came out on JP. It's fun times. JP Dokkan is really, they've taken a step in 2021, and it looks like they're going to continue that into 2022. Okay, so that's everything that I have for you today. This was a concept for how I would do the 3-year fusion EZAs over on Dokkan. I do think, looking back on it, I could have went a little bit more crazy in terms of like adding like damage reduction or guaranteed additionals or something like that. But I do think that, you know, I tried to go from the most realistic perspective that I could and how I've seen them do EZAs in the past, and especially with the LRs, they are kind of scared to make them as broken as possible. So I just decided that, you know, let's try and make it a realistic looking EZA. However, I do think that there is the potential for them to do a little bit more in terms of how they want to, you know, buff him in certain regards. I do think that Vegito will still probably be better if they do EZA. I mean, he already is better, but I do think that, you know, that won't change after the EZA. And I was misspoken when I said that they don't change transformation conditions, as if you look at Android 21, she went from 30% chance to absorb cell to 40% after in the HP threshold. I'm pretty sure it changed as well. So they can change these conditions, but I do think that this one's going to stay the same, as it is guaranteed at turn 6 under 50% HP. But I guess maybe it is possible that we do see turn 5 or turn 4, as, you know, turn 6 you're just not going to see that often in any type of content unless you're doing long events. So that's everything I got for you today. Don't forget to leave a like if you enjoyed. Comment and tell me how you would do the Vegito and Gogeta 3-year EZAs if they are to come out. Subscribe if you're new. Turn on notifications so you don't miss out on Dokkan content that I post on the channel regularly. And I'm out.